Look at him. He can't even stand. That was my daughter's voice, sharp, mocking. It cut deeper than the pain in my legs. I tried to lift myself from the chair, but my knees trembled. And when I glanced up, I saw both my kids, laughing. Phones pointed at me. Recording, my name's Harold, 65 years old. Dark-skinned, graying beard. Once broad shoulders, now slouched with time. My hands still rough from decades of construction work. Hands that built this house brick by brick. My daughter Ava, 29. Tall. Black skin glowing under the kitchen light. Long straight hair. Designer clothes that screamed money she never earned. Beside her was Marcus, my son, 25. Lean build, short curls, expensive watch. The same smirk his mother used to have when she thought she'd won. They thought it was funny, me struggling to stand. They thought the internet would find it funny too. I heard the shutter click. Ava giggled. Marcus muttered, "This'll go viral." They walked away before I could say a word. So I just sat there, my hand gripping the armrest, breath shaking. The laughter echoed down the hall like a ghost. I didn't yell, didn't demand an apology. I just sat quietly, staring at the family photos on the wall, the same faces now mocking me from across the room. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A neighbor had sent me a link. There it was. The video. Me, wobbling on my feet, lips pressed tight, eyes dull. Captioned, "When your dad refuses to retire but can't even walk straight," thousands of views. Comments full of laughing emojis. People I didn't even know calling me old fool, embarrassing. Time to put him in a home. I could feel my chest tighten, but not from shame, from something colder, sharper. I turned off the phone, walked to my study. On the shelf sat a brown folder, my will. I'd updated it last year, left everything equally between Ava and Marcus. They thought they had me figured out, old, soft, predictable. I sat down at my desk, opened the folder, pen in hand, and changed one single line, just one. Then I signed it, sealed it, and slid it into my drawer. That night they came home laughing again. Ava was showing Marcus comments on her phone. "Did you see? Someone said we should start a TikTok channel." I looked at them both, my children, and wondered how I'd raised them to find joy in humiliation. They didn't notice me watching. They never did anymore. I walked slowly to the window. The house was quiet except for their laughter. And for the first time in a long while, I smiled. A small, tired smile that came from knowing tomorrow things would be different. I went to bed with peace in my chest, because I knew what they didn't. They had posted my pain online, but the world was about to post theirs right back, in real life. The next morning, the house felt quieter than usual, the kind of quiet that hums just before a storm. I sat at the kitchen table, a cup of black coffee cooling in my hands. The same chair they filmed me sitting in, the one they used for their joke. Sunlight hit the floor through the blinds, cutting the room into stripes. My phone buzzed again. Another notification. Their video had gone viral overnight. Hundreds of thousands of views. Comments rolling in like waves. But I didn't open it this time. I didn't need to see it. I already knew what kind of world finds an old man's pain entertaining. I just whispered to myself, they think they took my dignity. But all they really took was their share. I reached for my phone again, not to check the video, but to call someone I hadn't spoken to in months, Ms. Reeves, my lawyer. A sharp, calm woman with silver curls and eyes that saw straight through people. When she answered, her voice carried that quiet strength I'd always admired. "Mr. Carter," she said, "I assume this is about the update." "Yes," I replied. "It's time to finalize it." By noon, I was in her office. Dark wooden panels, soft amber light, the hum of a ceiling fan spinning slow. She slid a folder across the desk. I could see my own name on the first page, bold and final. "I made the changes exactly as you requested," she said. "One line, that's all it took." I nodded. "One line is all they gave me too," I said. That video caption. "That's all it took to show me who they are." She smiled faintly, not out of amusement but understanding. When I signed, the pen didn't shake this time. The ink dried quick, almost eager to seal what needed to be done. Outside her office, life carried on as if nothing had changed. But for me, everything had. Later that afternoon, I drove by the old construction yard I used to run. The smell of dust and cement brought back memories of better times, times when my hands meant something, when my kids were proud to say, "That's my dad." Now, they were proud of likes, shares, followers. Strangers' laughter meant more than my respect. That evening I came home to the sound of laughter again. Ava and Marcus were in the living room, watching themselves on the big screen. They'd added music to the clip now, turned it into a trend. Ava looked flawless in red dress, long braids down her back, a ring light reflecting in her glasses. Marcus wore that leather jacket I'd bought him last Christmas, the one he swore he'd only wear on special occasions. Guess humiliating me counted as one. They didn't even pause when I walked in. They were too busy reading comments aloud, laughing at what strangers said about me. I just stood there, watching, quiet, unmoving, like an old photo frame in the corner of the room. Then I slid 2 envelopes across the coffee table. They barely looked up. "What's this?" Marcus asked, eyes still on his screen. "Something you might want to read," I said softly. Ava ripped hers open first, expecting money, maybe property details. Her smile faltered. Marcus tore his too, and his laughter stopped halfway through a word. Inside each envelope, a printed letter. Official, stamped, signed by Ms. Reeves herself. The will was done. The trust transferred. Every account, every asset, every piece of land are no longer theirs. Ava looked at me, her voice trembling. "What did you do?" I looked back, calm as ever. "I made things right." Marcus slammed his paper on the table. "Oh, you can't just take it back, Dad." I met his eyes. I already did. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the faint ticking of the old wall clock, the same one that had ticked through every meal we'd ever shared. I turned toward the window. Outside, the sunset washed the house in gold, and for the first time in years I felt tall again. Behind me, I could hear their voices, confusion, anger, disbelief, but I didn't turn back. I just whispered to myself, "They posted my weakness for the world to see. Now the world will see theirs." I walked out to the porch, feeling the evening air on my face, and as the door closed behind me, I smiled, because I knew the silence that followed would echo louder than their laughter ever did. The next morning, they wake up to an inbox full of red flags. It starts with a polite official email from the bank. Ownership records indicate a change in primary account authorization. Please contact your legal department. Then another from the investment manager. Pending transfer confirmed. By 10 a.m., my phone is buzzing with messages from strangers, neighbors, old co-workers, folks I fixed porches for years ago. "Is everything okay? We saw the post and don't let them get to you." I read each one, breathed, and set the phone down. They burst through the front door like a storm. Ava first, hair half-tied, one stiletto missing, mascara smudged under her eyes. Marcus right behind her, face pale, voice thinner than it used to be. Darren's number lights up Marcus's phone on the table, unanswered. They look smaller than they did in the living room last night. The laughter in their chests has gone flat. "Dad," Ava says, breathless and brittle, "what did you do?" Her hands shake as she reaches for the stack of papers on the coffee table, the same envelopes I slid across the table like quiet promises. She flips through the pages as if the words themselves might rearrange into something kinder. They don't. Marcus paces, one fist clenching a photo frame of his college graduation, the edge digging white into his palm. "You can't just—" he starts. "You can't what?" I ask. "You can't take everything." My voice is gentle, not weak, not triumphant, just steady. He looks at me like he's seeing a stranger or maybe a man he misremembered. "You made us a joke," he says. "You gave us everything, and this is how we repay you." The anger in him smells like fear. It coats his words and makes them small. "Giving you everything was my mistake," I say. "I thought I was protecting you. I thought I was giving you a head start." Ava looks up at that, surprise flashing across her face like a cut. "You always said—" she begins, and then she stops because she remembers how I used to say it: work, dignity, respect. She remembers, but she didn't live it. She begins to cry then, big heaving sobs that make her shoulders tremble. Marcus joins her in a different way, not with tears so much as a brittle, empty sound that could be laugh or sob. I'm not sure which. They look at me and I watch the crumbling happen in real time, not glee, but a kind of weary sorrow. "Why would you do this?" Ava whispers. "Because you made my pain a thumbnail," I say. "You made my struggle entertainment. You taught strangers it's okay to watch someone break. So I taught you a lesson you couldn't learn from words." She bites her lip, furious and ashamed all at once. Around noon, the calls start pouring in. Employers checking references, sponsors rescinding offers, influencers who used to tag Ava now untagging, disassociating, distancing themselves. Ava's inbox turns into a place of politely phrased rejections and questions about character. Marcus's manager emails him asking for clarification about the signature on a contract, the person, whose name no longer appears, where Marcus expected it to be. They had built their lives on the idea that nothing would ask for proof. They had forgotten that everything with a foundation requires care. They beg. They plead. They bargain with me in fragments. We'll apologize online. We'll take it down. We'll post about elder care. But apologies typed between sobs and legal notices read like currency that won't buy back trust. I listen. I don't scream. I don't shout. I simply ask them to sit. I pour coffee, the same black I prefer, and hand them cups like a man who remembers small rituals matter. They look at the cups like they're relics from an era before any of this. Start here, I say. Tell me what you actually know about what it takes to build something. Tell me about the nights you missed work to build a porch roof. Tell me what it felt like when the bank called and we didn't have $1 to spare. They fumble for answers and find none. Their mouths are full of rehearsed lines about captions and clout. They realize there are no words that will rebuild their ignorance. Ava leans forward, speaking between hiccups. We didn't think. You didn't think, I say. Because thinking requires looking at the person in front of you. Her face crumples. She knows I'm right. I don't demand they leave. I don't lock the door. I tell them the truth instead. The house, the accounts, the family business are protected now by a trust named for their mother. Her name, embroidered in the blanket in the den. The trust is meant to serve, not to hand everything on a platter. I explain the one-line change. It ties distributions to community service, to care, to proof of character. It's not punishment. It's a chance to learn that inheritance is earned. Marcus's shoulders slump, as if someone has removed the weight he once thought was his. He asks, voice small, how do we earn it? I look at him, mapping the years in the lines around his eyes. Start by taking care of what you already have, I say. Start by taking care of people. Volunteer, show up without a camera. Fix a neighbor's fence without posting it. Learn the work you mocked. They listen because what else is there to do but listen when the future has a new set of rules. Days pass like that, awkward, raw and slow. They show up at the soup kitchen on a Tuesday. They learn to hang drywall on a Wednesday. They clean up a burned lot on a Saturday. They call me sometimes to ask how to measure things properly, how to mix concrete, how to talk to an elderly client with patience. They learn in the hard way that dignity takes time to rebuild. Months later, the online comments quiet. The video is still out there somewhere, but its power has faded. People forget fast on the internet. The ones who remember begin to see a different headline. 2 young adults rebuilding what they once broke, hand by hand. One evening after mud and plaster and long conversations, Ava sits at the kitchen table with a notebook. She's writing an apology, not for the camera but for the people she hurt. Marcus helps a neighbor fix a porch light without anyone watching. They don't do it for the trust or the future inheritance. They do it because the work has taught them how heavy a man's shoulders can be and how light they feel when they're shared. I watch them from the doorway, the house full of real sounds again, the clink of tools, a laugh without a sting, plates being cleared. I think about the video that started all of this and how small it seems now, like a pebble tossed into a pond long ago. Ripples fade. What remains is the work and the quiet. One night, Ava comes to my room and knocks softly. She holds out a small paper, hands trembling. Dad, she says, I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me yet. I needed you to see that I mean it. She drops the paper into my palm. A list of things she's signed up for, the shelter, the clinic shifts, the weekend neighborhood builds. She doesn't ask for the house back. She asks for the chance to be real. I stand and pull her into a hug. Her body is thinner at the shoulders than I remember, but the heartbeat is steady and true. That night I sit by the window, the same one they once framed as shame. The street is quiet. The porch light hums. I close my eyes and think of all the small hands I've held, the boards I've nailed, the meals I've cooked. I consider how easy it would have been to rage, to burn bridges until nothing remained. Instead, I built a quiet path back. I whisper into the dark. half to the house and half to myself. Sometimes the coldest silence is not revenge, but a call to wake up. And sometimes that cold is the only thing that melts hearts frozen by shame. They learned, finally. They froze when they read my will, and in that freeze they found the only thing worth keeping of themselves remade.